Alright, let's talk about Cyberpunk 2077. Just when you thought Night City had finally gone quiet, CD Projekt Red is back with a cryptic tease that has fans speculating like crazy. After everything the game's been through to this point, from its rocking launch in 2020 to the full-blown redemption arc that the game's undergone, it seems like the story isn't over just yet. In fact, it might just be getting interesting again. And this time, it's not about patch notes or hotfixes, it's possibly about something bigger, something new. CDPR has been dropping subtle clues that point towards a fresh announcement, and if you're even remotely plugged into the Cyberpunk scene, you know that the community is watching every move. Let's break down what's happening, why people are excited, and where this might all be heading. But before we get into it, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Cyberpunk news. And if you're interested, consider becoming a member on the channel for early access on every video, members only content, your name in the credits, the ability to write in and have your comments featured, and access to the Discord community. Before we dig into the teasers, we need to appreciate just how wild the ride has been for Cyberpunk 2077 up to this point. When it launched in December 2020, it was nearly unplayable for many players out there, especially those on last-gen consoles. What was supposed to be a game-changing experience turned into a meme overnight. Broken quests, game-breaking bugs, and performance issues dominated the headlines around this game. But CD Projekt Red didn't give up. Over the next few years, they buckled down, patched endlessly, and rebuilt the game piece by piece. And the release of Phantom Liberty in 2023 was a major turning point for the game. It wasn't just a DLC, it was the moment Cyberpunk 2077 became the game that it was meant to be in the first place. And now, in 2025 as we sit, it holds a very positive rating on Steam. Not many games get to pull off that kind of comeback, so when CDPR starts teasing something again, people obviously listen. This recent buzz started with a post on Cyberpunk 2077's official social media channels, and it featured a simple calendar, but it wasn't just filled with dates and boxes, it was coded with meaning. Fans obviously noticed that the dates aligned with character birthdays. Johnny Silverhand, Judy Alvarez, Solomon Reed all had their days marked. Even the original release date of Cyberpunk 2077 was included, but the real hook, several dates were labeled data encrypted. No explanation, no further details, just those two words. CDPR just said it was some sort of glitch. Obviously they're kind of playing into something here, but that was all it took. The community lit up with theories. Was this a countdown? A clue for some sort of reveal? Something to do with the sequel Projekt Orion? Maybe even another round of anime content? Whatever it is, it's clear that CDPR has something up their sleeve, and they're dropping breadcrumbs to build anticipation for whatever it might be. While CDPR hasn't confirmed anything, fans have started connecting dots, and right now the speculation is circling three major possibilities. The most talked about, of course, is the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. We already know that CD Projekt Red is working on it under the codename Projekt Orion. It's in early development in their North American studios, but the studio's been ramping up hiring and shifting major resources toward this new project. Even though the game is still several years away at this point, it's possible that this is teasing the first step towards revealing what's next for the Cyberpunk universe. Whether it's a name drop of some sort, some concept art, or even a short teaser, it would be enough to light the fandom on fire. Another theory points to a new Cyberpunk anime. After Edgerunners hit Netflix in 2022, it brought a huge wave of love back to the franchise. That show resonated with viewers in a way few video game adaptations ever do. Since then, it's been confirmed that a new anime project is currently in development. Maybe that cryptic calendar is counting down to its eventual announcement. A fresh season or standalone story would be a huge draw for fans who want more of that world in a different medium. Then there's the idea of more endgame content for Cyberpunk 2077. Even after the Phantom Liberty expansion, CDPR has kept supporting the game with small updates and hidden Easter eggs. It's not outside the realm of possibility that they've been quietly working on another mini expansion or story drop for Cyberpunk 2077. Maybe not a full-blown DLC, but something smaller that ties up loose ends or sets the stage for what's coming next in Projekt Orion. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this mystery calendar and what could possibly be on the way for Cyberpunk. It's also worth thinking about why CD Projekt Red would start teasing something now of all times. The timing feels too specific to be random. It's been nearly 5 years since the game's launch and just under 2 years since Phantom Liberty's release. The game's reputation is now stronger than ever, interest in the franchise is climbing again, and we're heading into the part of the year where major announcements often drop, thanks Summer Games Fest, Gamescom, and studio-specific showcases. In other words, the conditions are perfect right now for CD Projekt Red to strike while the iron's hot. A new reveal now wouldn't just get attention, it would ignite hype. It's also worth noting that CD Projekt Red recently had their earnings call with investors, and they had one of their best years yet with no major releases, and they're projecting this year to be even better with no major releases planned either. So I don't know if this is something to do with their mobile initiative that they're currently pushing, that we don't really know what's going on, but they're planning mobile games for the future, or if they're planning some sort of major release or DLC or something for Cyberpunk this year. The sequel Projekt Orion remains mostly a mystery to us at this point, but CD Projekt Red has shared a few details about this upcoming project. For starters, it's being built in Unreal Engine 5 instead of their in-house Red engine. That alone would tell us that they're aiming for a smoother development process and a more stable product in the end. They're also expanding their development teams, including opening a new US-based studio to help lead the project for Cyberpunk. This shift could signal that they're investing heavily in the sequel and likely aiming for a fresh perspective. Story-wise for this game, things are wide open. The original game Cyberpunk 2077 had multiple different endings, some of them very different, and of course they could just end up making a completely new story. If Projekt Orion is meant to be darker, deeper, or more morally complex, that would be a bold place to start for the series. And anime fans haven't stopped talking about Cyberpunk Edgerunners. It wasn't just good, it was emotional. It hit harder than expected, and for a lot of people, it was their first real exposure to Night City. The show helped to reframe the tone and themes of the franchise in a way that resonated deeply with viewers. There's also confirmation that another anime is currently in development like I mentioned before, though details are still under wraps. A reveal this year for a new anime series would make perfect sense. The teaser calendar might even be mapping out its promotional timeline. If it's as strong as the first series or even bolder, it could be another major win for CDPR. Right now, of course, we're in a wait and watch mode. The cryptic calendar, the steady stream of small updates, and the fact that Cyberpunk 2077 is heading over to Switch 2 all point to a strategy that's far from finished. CD Projekt Red isn't just wrapping things up here, they're setting the table for the future of the franchise. Whatever this teased announcement turns out to be, it's going to be a defining moment. Will this mark the return of V, a shift to a new city, a different genre, a cross-media universe? There's so many different ways that this could go, and honestly, that's what makes this so exciting. After all the drama, patches, and praise, it would have been easy for CD Projekt Red to call it a day and get out with the money. But they're still here, still building, and still finding ways to expand the world of Cyberpunk 2077. Whether they're teasing a sequel reveal, a new anime, or something else entirely, it's clear that the story of Night City isn't over just yet. If you're a fan of the Cyberpunk franchise, now is the time to stay plugged in. Something's definitely coming, and this time it feels like CDPR is ready to deliver it on their own terms. We might be heading back into the dark, neon-lit future sooner than we might think. Speaking of second DLCs, several months ago a surprising bit of history surfaced, quite literally. Files and concept art for a scrap DLC reportedly set on the moon appeared online, giving us a rare peek at what might have actually been the game's second major expansion. According to these leaked materials, CD Projekt Red had been working on a moon-based location packed with its own environments, missions, and lore. In the Cyberpunk universe, the moon isn't just a distant rock. It's colonized, industrialized, and plays a huge role in the political and corporate drama that drives the story. Unfortunately, I'm too scared to show any of it out of fear of copyright, but the leaked content included rough maps, blueprints, file directories, and early stage visuals that hint at a detailed, explorable lunar outpost. I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could probably find it somewhere online, but the plan reportedly was to make the moon part of the base game initially. But as development dragged on and priorities shifted, the scope was scaled back a bit. CDPR seemed to revisit the idea post-launch for a DLC, but ultimately shelved it, likely to focus on Phantom Liberty and eventually Projekt Orion. This of course was a bit of a heartbreaker. A moon expansion would have pushed Cyberpunk 2077 into true sci-fi territory and added a whole new layer of world building to the Cyberpunk universe. But with development on Cyberpunk 2077 seeming to slow down a bit with only small patches, well, we might get another DLC, something smaller like I mentioned before, but we'll probably never set foot on that lunar colony. If they do another big area like that, it'll probably be in Projekt Orion, but we really don't know yet. But it's still a fascinating what if for fans, and maybe a sign of the kind of ambition we can expect from the sequel. In other news, Cyberpunk 2077 is officially coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, and not just in name. CD Projekt Red has confirmed that the Ultimate Edition, including the full base game and the Phantom Liberty expansion, will launch as a Day 1 title on June 5th. From what I've seen, it looks like it'll run at 1080p 40 frames per second in performance mode while docked, and 40 frames 720p while in handheld mode. That can be seen as a huge leap from what anyone probably would have expected on a portable platform, but it is kind of disconcerting that it's the most expensive version of the game and probably the least well performed performing. But this Switch 2 version will also be fully playable right out of the box, or more accurately, out of the cartridge. Unlike some of the other physical games on the platform that only include a license key for the game, Cyberpunk 2077 will ship on a 64GB card with no download required. That's a big win for players who likely have everything ready to go from the start, but of course it will take up about 25% of the available memory on the Switch 2. At $70, it's priced like a typical current-gen AAA release, but of course this will probably be the worst performing version of the game. But you are getting the entire Cyberpunk 2077 experience, from the gritty back alleys of Night City to the high-stakes espionage of Phantom Liberty, in a portable format that also takes advantage of Switch 2's motion controls, gyroscope aiming, touchscreen, and even mouse input features. And of course, all of that content takes up space, 64GB of it to be exact, which is about a quarter of the Switch 2's available internal storage. Still, for Cyberpunk 2077 to run well and look sharp on a handheld console hybrid, that's a huge technical flex, and one more sign that the game has officially pulled off its full circle comeback. Let me know down in the comments what you think about Cyberpunk 2077 coming over to Switch 2. Usually to end these videos I take audience write-ins, but unfortunately I did not have time to solicit inquiries for this video. I'm about to move into my first house this week and everything has kind of been crazy for the past few days. The write-ins will be back in about a week or so once I get settled, of course, so keep an eye out for that. The threads to submit your write-ins for future videos can be found over on the post tab on my channel if you're interested. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Cyberpunk news. And if you're looking for something else to watch, click one of the videos you're seeing on screen right now. I will see you there. Also, a huge thank you to all the amazing channel members.